And for the past 3 years, performance sports boats have grown at about 2.5 times as fast as traditional powerboat sales. And then just another catalyst for new boat sales is that the average age of powerboats is up to over 21 years old. So this is powerboats currently in use compared to 15 years old in 1997. And then as you can see, performance boats have become more popular and are continuing to be more popular. So this graph shows performance sports boats, the total sales as a percentage of performance in stern drive boats. So if I go back, as you can see, performance sports boats had an inboard engine, and stern drive, the engine would be at the back. So why these boats have really gained popularity is first because they're safer, because the engine is farther closer to the middle of the boat. It keeps the riders away from the engine, and then also when the boat accelerates to get that rider out of the water, with a stern drive boat, the bow picks up so the driver can't really see over, where that doesn't happen with these boats. And then also these boats are just generally much more powerful and much better for wakeboarding, water skiing, and wake surfing. And also another catalyst for new boat sales going forward is the increase in participation in recreational boating. Oops, sorry. As you can see, so if you look at 2006, this was when performance sports boats hit its highest peak in terms of sales volume. The people participating in recreational boating was 60 million, and now it's up to about 88 million, and that's the same in 2014. So that is going to be a catalyst for new boat sales going forward. All right, and also Malibu has #1 market share in the performance sports boat market. They've held #1 market share since 2010 and have increased market share from 23% in 2008 to 32% in 2014. And as you can see with the graph, Malibu is the blue. They've really been able to take the market, and it shows that consumers are choosing Malibu boats over other boats more and more. And they also have a 55% market share of boat exports to international markets, which they're really trying to expand there. So I'm going to go through the main reasons why I think they have market share and why they're going to continue to gain market share. They have the strongest dealer network in the performance sport boat category. They have 154 dealers in North America, 64 internationally, and they're really expanding internationally. They've added 14 new international dealers in the last 4 years. And in 2014, they acquired their Australian licensee, which is important because it also came with a manufacturing facility in Australia. So that means that now they can actually manufacture boats in Australia. They don't have to ship boats from their Tennessee plant over to Australia anymore. And we've seen that their sales in Australia really pick up in the last 2 years. And why this is so important is because they have the biggest dealer network in the industry. Proximity to the dealership is very important for consumers when determining what boat to buy, because like with a lot of these dealerships, they'll only service like Malibu boats, or like if you buy a Mastercraft boat, you can only get a Mastercraft boat service at that dealership. So if you have a Malibu boat closest to you, you're more likely to get a Malibu boat because you can easily take it to get service there. So that's why that's so important. And then they're really at the forefront of innovation in the performance sport boat market. So in 2012, they came out with their SurfGate technology, which is primarily for wake surfing. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of wake surfing here? A few? Okay. It's basically like surfing behind a boat, right? And what this has allowed riders to do is really giving them much more control over the size of the wake, and it's allowed riders to actually be able to switch from either side of the wake, which they weren't able to do before. And it won the Wakeboarding Association's Innovation of the Year award in 2013. And then their power wedge is also important. It creates a much bigger wake, cleaner wake, which is really important for wakeboarders. And their command center is really state-of-the-art. I think it's the best looking and easiest to use of any of the performance sports boats that I've seen. Offers a lot of cool technologies. It's all touchscreen. It also has a rear view camera so the driver can see the rider while they're driving the boat. And then just last year they came out with this surf band. So it's something that when you're wake surfing, you actually wear on your arm, and you can control like the surf gate, the power wedge, and like the speed of the boat while you're riding to basically get the weight and the speed to fit your preference, which is pretty cool. All right, and these two tables, I think, really demonstrate why Malibu has #1 market share and why I expect them to continue to grow market share. So what I did was I compared them to Mastercraft, which has #2 market share in the performance sport boat category. So if you just go through, like, Malibu has more dealers, their average price per boat is cheaper, yet they've consistently outperformed Mastercraft with better margins. And then right here, what I did was I just broke down their comparable models and compared them to each other. So as you can see, Malibu's boats are faster, can hold more people, and they're more affordable. And especially with their Axis brand, I think that's what really sets them apart. They offer more models for in the affordable category, which I think is important, and for more affordable prices. And they really haven't had to sacrifice too much in terms of quality with those boats. Like the main difference in price is actually like the interior, like the upholstery and stuff like that in the Axis boats compared to the Malibu boats. And with the Axis boats, you're still allowed, you can still get like upgrades to get certain features that Malibu boats have. So these are the three main risks that I see with Malibu. And just with new boat sales going forward, the first is consumer confidence. Consumer confidence as of 2013, that was the most recent statistic I could find, was 73. And consumer confidence between 2001 and 2007 for boat sales was in the 100 plus range. So while consumer confidence has grown from about 50 in 2011 to 73 in 2013, if it doesn't continue to grow, it's obviously going to impact new boat sales. And then the second risk that I see is the current drought in California, which I'm sure you guys have all heard of. Right? It's not just in California; it's in the whole Southwest region. And with the drought, obviously comes lower lake levels, as you can see here. Which, if there's lower lake levels, we've seen certain lake closings, so people can't go out and boat, and so that's really affected sales in the area. Sales in that area are down 80% from their high in 2006. So I think that does offer a lot of room for growth. However, if the drought continues or even gets worse, it's definitely going to affect new boat sales going forward. But still, even with the drought, over the past 3 years, boat sales in that region have increased on a 10% CAGR. And then the last risk that I see, which is also really part of my rationale, is their stock performance. The stock is down almost 30% on the year, despite them beating or being in line with top and bottom for 8 consecutive quarters. So this kind of makes me think that either there's something that I'm missing, even though I've done tons of research, or the stock just doesn't act accordingly to how the company's doing, which is a risk, because even if my investment rationale does pan out, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to move the stock. However, I think with the stock market in the long run, all stocks typically recognize their true value, I guess is what you could say. All right, and then this is my valuation. Can you guys see this, or should I go to the... Okay. Okay. So what I did for the valuation was I first projected out U.S. ski and wakeboard boat sales, so that's the performance sport boats, right? That's exclusively what Malibu produces. So I projected this out based on kind of what statistics and outlooks I've been able to gather from like sources like the MMA. And then also, I believe that because of the catalysts I mentioned in previous slides, I think that new boat sales are going to get to within range of where they were between 2001 and 2007. So the average boat sales per year in that period were about 11,700, and I have them going to about 10,000, which I think is pretty conservative, and I think it's a pretty attainable amount of units. And then what I did after I projected out ski and wakeboard sales, I projected out how I think Malibu is basically going to grow over that market based on what they've done historically, and then based on my rationale that I think that they're going to continue to gain market share. And then also, these these ski and wake sales only account for domestic sales. They don't account for international sales, which I really think that they're going to continue to grow internationally. Should I continue, or do you guys have questions on that?
So you didn't include international, bro?
What's that?
You didn't include international.
I did, based on like how fast they're going to grow over the market, because international sales still only make up about 2% of their revenues. So that combined with the fact that I think they're going to continue to gain market share, I think that's pretty reasonable, especially like.
But you said it's only accounts for 2% of the revenue? International?
Roughly.
There's 64 dealerships. That's almost
actually
35.
It might be 8%. It's either 2 or it might be 8%.
Okay, that's okay. That's just, also, you said the industry was going 7% times 2.5, right? So 17%, 17.5%.
Yeah, but I think that's just been like what it's been in the past. I think it's going to be a little slower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a projection, that was done.
Right. That's what it. Well, the NMMA projects that traditional power boats are going to grow at a 7% CAGR, and just historically, performance has grown at a 2.5 times the rate of traditional powerboat sales. However, I don't think it's going to be nearly as fast as it has been.
Okay. So you could have gone away and said.
Yeah. So like, I tried to be fairly conservative with this, and I think this is very attainable. What I have for ski and wake sales and Malibu's growth. So then this is my valuation. I used an EBITDA exit multiple. How I found the multiple was since Malibu's IPO'd in 2014 and like Mastercraft IPO'd in 2015, I looked at other companies. I looked at Brunswick, which primarily manufactures boats, and then Marine Products Incorporated. And I looked at their average historical multiples, but I put extra weight on what their average was between 2001 and 2007 for their exit multiple, for their EBITDA, since I am projecting out that sales are going to come back to within range of the levels that they were at in 2001 to 2007. So that's how I got that. And then I just kind of compared it also with the past 2 years data that I have from Malibu stock, just like kind of where they've traded compared to Brunswick and Marine Products. So I think it's a pretty fair exit multiple. And then this is the average target price. 2067, I think my target price is 2376. Yeah. And these are my comps. You guys all look at them.
We should put return on capital.
What's that?
We should put return on capital.
I think it's 39%. I know it's higher than average. Oh man.
How about financing now?
What? Alright, sorry.
Financing?
Financing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that's probably the reason why sales took off in 2001, 2007 was because of less financing, and now they're probably harder to get financing for these boats. Is that how big? I mean, I'm saying financing is probably a big part of this, right? You just buy a boat $80,000 cash, or
yeah.
It's like a car, right?
Yeah.
And why are auto sales at peak levels now? Because financing is cheap.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't really see that as being like as important. I just think like because boat sales have been so low, like we're now starting to pick up, and more people are participating in recreational boating as well. And there's a higher demand for performance sports boats. So,
but you don't know anything about the financing?
Do they do the financing, or do they?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really haven't seen much about it though in any of their like 10Ks.
They do the financing, or do they just send it to a bank? Because like Ford has Ford financing.
I'm not really sure. I can look into it.
That'd be something very important to look into.
What's the general target market in terms of income levels?
Right. So I only know like the average boat buyer, which is actually like middle income people, like households that make about 100K or more. Yeah,
100K.
yeah. That's like 70% of all boat buyers. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, so you said like California is like a big concern for you. Like, what's the breakdown between like regional and the U.S.? Like,
So they don't actually break out their revenue like that. I was only able to get it for like total performance boat sales, and in other regions they're down about like I'd say on average like 40% from the historical highs in other regions, and then they're down 80% in the Southwest. But I think it could actually be a catalyst even if the drought does improve, right? It's a lot of room for growth there. Yeah.
So their stock's down like 30% in the last year.
Yeah.
What are their competitors doing stock price wise?
Yeah. I mean, about the same. Mastercraft. I don't know what they're down on the year, but the two stocks have really kind of mirrored each other. I don't think Mastercraft's down as much. Yeah.
I got a couple questions for you. So you were talking about risk, and you were talking about consumer confidence, the California drought, and their stock price. What you never addressed was why you don't think those risks really matter. You never really debunked those. Could you debunk those?
Okay. With consumer confidence, like I can't really project out because that's really tied to just like the overall health of the economy. So I can't really project that out. But like it has been, consumer confidence has been increasing. So like I really can't say like whether or not it's going to be a risk going forward.
Well, what's your outlook?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we knew it wasn't going to be a risk going forward, it'd be a very easy investment decision. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I see performance sport boats to continue to increase.
Is that really his job to project where
I feel like
consumer confidence is going? And it's more of a higher level portfolio manager?
No, I think it's your job to say why you think that the consumer confidence level, why you think. I mean, to answer that question, like you think your outlook on the economy is positive. So, like you said, for example, California drought. Like, that seems like a really big issue, right? If sales in California are down 80%, and that's a huge market. I'm just thinking about the population of the U.S. How a great chunk of them live out in California. So if boat sales are down 80% in California, that can't really be looking out too great for boat sales.
I mean, it hasn't really inhibited growth in that region at all. Like I said, for the last 3 years, sales there have grown at a 10% CAGR. And it is improving, like lakes are starting to open up again. You know, again, I can't really project out the weather, so you know, I just see that as a risk, like mainly if it gets worse, but it seems like it's getting better. I think it's even more of a catalyst because they are down like 80%.
So I think what would be good to know, and maybe the data's just not even out there, is what percentage of the sales is actually in California? Because part of the comparison was that you know, basically saying that the sales are going to return to previous lows, which was, you know, in 07 or 06. But that was when the drought didn't have a substantial impact. And so because the drought is affecting the market now, it may not allow sales to get to those previous levels. That's
well, I don't think it's like a big percentage because like if you think about it, if sales in that region have increased 10%, and then look at like how much knowledge has still increased compared to that over the past year.
10% from what is another question. But
10% CAGR for the last like 3 years.
Right, but if it's after those sales have been totally beaten down from the drought, then
well, and just the recession in general.
That too.
So you talked about average boat age, and I know that it's elevated. Same thing with auto sales, and that's what you're seeing. Auto sales up as well. Do you have any data on what the average price for boats is? Do they give anything like that? Because like KBB comes out with.
Yeah, these boats are definitely more expensive. I think the average price is around 40 grand.
What about overall? How's that kind of trended?
The average price of boats has definitely trended upwards.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the sales peak in 2006, I want to say that these boats would go for about 40 on average, and now it's up at about 70. So.
Okay. And then just one more question, sorry. So the industry is forecasted to grow at 13%. Is that what you said in the beginning?
No, that's powerboat sales.
Powerboat sales?
Right. Is going to grow, they project out to grow at 7%, but performance sport boats, I project, are going to increase at a much faster rate.
Okay, and you reflected that in the model as well? I guess what's that first number there, 13?
Yeah, and that's also based on, because they already have two quarters out, and so they're on track to do like at least that number in revenue, maybe a little more. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Talk about their tech and innovation in their boats, making their products superior. Is this like patented? How long are these patents? So if none of their competitors have this, and at some point the competitor is going to enter, produce boats that you think are equal quality?
I mean, competitors already produce have similar technologies. It just seems like Malibu has consistently been ahead of the game with all these technologies. I don't know how long their patents actually last, but just with all their products, they really do seem like, from other boats I've seen, they really do seem like generally better, more innovative than their peers.
You know if they're spending more R&D than their peers as a result?
I don't know.
Do they break out dealer location on a 10K? They probably do.
In the U.S.?
They probably do. It's okay. I'm saying that's a good way for you to get an idea of where business is coming from. I'm pretty sure they do. In terms of guidance, management guidance, that could be why the stock price is down. You could still beat earnings top and
I
bottom.
didn't see anything like that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about previously. All right.
Yeah.
So basically, two things I need to know is your multiple justified, and why are margins? Why is earnings going to double in 5 years? Basically, what I care about, because that's what you have happening right now. You know, I think you justified your growth rate convincingly. You have margins improving significantly, but you haven't talked about margins, and that seems to be the story here. You have revenue growing. You know, what is that, 50%? Or no, 30%, and earnings growing, earnings doubling, 100%. So, can you talk a little bit about margins?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at COGS, they've definitely been trending downward, and obviously as they continue to grow revenue, fixed costs are going to have less of an impact, but then also they're continuing to make improvements to their manufacturing strategies, basically. Becoming more efficient, and then with general and administrative, for the first 2 quarters this year, it was 7% of revenue, and I see that decreasing because in these years here, they were going through some litigation issues, which is why that was higher. But now I don't see them going through as much litigation in the next few years, so I have that trending downward.
Okay. And how about selling and marketing? Well, that's pretty common.
Yeah, that's consistent.
All right.
Amortization, they project that out in their 10K. And then depreciation, I just have as a percent of revenue. It's just steadily increasing. And then working capital, capital expenditure, sorry. 6 million is what they project as their budget for CapEx for the remainder of the year. They've had higher CapEx in the past few years because they've been adding on to their facility in Tennessee, which is just wrapping up, and then also with the acquisition of the Australian licensee that costs them money too. So I don't see them doing nearly as much CapEx in the future. Yeah.
Do you know where the boats are manufactured? Because I'm guessing
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah.